Okay, this is a book review of Is Atheism Dead? By the author's name is Eric Metaxas. And, I read a ton of stuff about Christianity, about the origin of life, the origin of the universe, and this is the best book for an introduction to these topics. Origin of life on Earth and origin of the universe and, sort of does God exist? The reason I say that is this guy Metaxas, he's a very clever guy, very skilled with words, very articulate, he's entertaining. He gets to the point relatively fast. I mean, I got other books like this thick by Stephen Meyer, for example, engineer, and he's going to go into all this detail about astronomy and biochemistry. Most people don't want that. This book gets you to what you're probably interested in if you care about the existence of God and the reasons why it's the smart move to believe in God, and it seems to be the most correct explanation for the origin of the universe and the origin of life. Don't let anybody tell you you're stupid if you believe in this stuff. I know more about this stuff than anybody I've ever met in person, and I can tell you, I majored in biology at Stanford as an undergrad. I was an A student in the subject. There's good reason to believe that this comes from God because there's no scientific explanation for this stuff. Scientists can't even remotely explain this stuff. It makes sense that it comes from God. Also, in terms of, if you look at the definition of a human, right now in the West, there's two competing views of life and of mankind. The first view is what we would call atheistic Darwinism, which basically says mankind is just a talking primate. He's essentially a talking ape. There's nothing special about him. He's just a random coincidence of evolution. And basically, if that is what man is, and society agrees to that definition, then mankind has no rights. You're simply a talking primate, just like monkeys are owned by their owner and placed in a zoo or research experiments are done on them. There's no reason to think that that should not be the same case for humans in any country. The ruler owns them, and they're just like livestock, like farm animals, and they have no right to their children, they have no right to their family, they have no right to anything. And it's important to realize that, and if you think it's otherwise, you haven't studied history. That's exactly what it comes down to. So here's a quote by Alexander Solzhenitsyn from Russia in the 1900s. Where over 65 million people were killed by Stalin. And here's what Solzhenitsyn said. He lived from 1918 to 2008. He said, if I were asked to summarize the main cause of Russia's destruction, what killed 65 million of our people, I would say, because men have forgotten God. That's why all this happened. Okay? Yeah, basically, Alexander Solzhenitsyn. If you're not created in the image of God, thus partly divine, as well as part beast, part human, etc., then you have no intrinsic natural rights, and and if you reject Christianity, then as Nietzsche said, there's no reason you should expect to be treated by Christian ethical standards. So you want Christianity. It's an appeal outside of whoever is the ruler of the moment to some traditional sense of human worth and dignity and rights. Okay, so that's a good thing. Anyways, for the scientific explanations, this is the best book.